Salazar Carrizales, you are here charged with the first-degree felony offense of murder, first-degree felony offense of aggravated kidnapping, and second-degree felony offense of tampering with evidence of a human corpse. These cases are assigned to the 263rd District Court with Judge Melissa Morris. Would you like to request a court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
No.
Which country are you from?
Mexico.
Would you like us to notify the Mexican consulate of your arrest?
No.
And would you like the public defender to represent you at this hearing?
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy, may I have the state's bond recommendations for Ms. Salazar Carrizales?
Your Honor, would it be too much to ask if we could do the co-defendant at the same time so that way we only go through the PC once?
Okay. Sure, I guess we can go ahead and call him as well. I was going to do him right after, but we can do them together. Mr. Narciso Cruz Banos. Mr. Banos, you are also charged with the first-degree felony offense of murder, first-degree felony offense of aggravated kidnapping, and second-degree felony offense of tampering with evidence of a human corpse. All three of these cases are assigned to the 263rd District Court with Judge Melissa Morris. Would you like to request a court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
No.
Which country are you from?
Mexico.
Would you like us to notify the Mexican consulate of your arrest? And would you like the public defender, Mr. Evans, to represent you at this hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Kennedy, may I have your bond recommendations for Ms. Carrizales and Mr. Banos?
Thank you, Your Honor. For defendant Salazar Carrizales, the tampering with evidence, the state filed a motion requesting a $500,000 bond, in the aggravated kidnapping a $1 million bond, in the murder a $2 million bond. For defendant Banos,
I'm going to ask you to repeat it again. I'm trying to write everything down.
for the tampering, it's $500,000. For the aggravated kidnapping, it's $1 million. For the murder, it's $2 million.
Okay.
And then for defendant Banos, the murder, $5 million. The aggravated kidnapping, $1 million. The tampering with evidence, $500,000.
So just to be clear, $500,000 for tampering for evidence with Ms. Carrizales as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you may proceed.
Your Honor, the state is against a pretrial release based on the facts and a few facts from the cases. The offense date is going to be August 12th, 2023. The reportee reported her husband, later identified as the complainant, missing. His last known location was at his boss's residence at a specific location in Harris County. Officers conducted a welfare check. They found the complainant's motor vehicle on the property. While clearing 3 buildings on the property, a body believed to be the complainant, wrapped in black plastic and tape, was located in the building that was used as an office. While on scene, both the defendants arrived in their vehicle. Defendant Banos stated that, "I'm the one you're looking for," and advised the body on the property was that of the complainant. Both defendants signed a voluntary consent for search. Officers transported both defendants to the police station for further information. While officers were on scene, they did observe a body wrapped in black plastic secured by electrical tape on the floor inside of the building used as an office. Cleaning products containing bleach were in the room, and a mop bucket was just outside the room. Officers spoke with the reportee, who stated that the complainant sent a text stating that he was going to be spending the night at his boss's house and was going to go to work in the morning from the residence. which he never did. The reportee stated that she was suspicious because the complainant sounded like he was injured. The reportee called the defendant Friday to question where her husband was because the complainant was not answering his phone. Defendant Banos told her that her husband was having an affair with his wife, the co-defendant, and he, the defendant Banos, had pistol whipped him. Defendant Banos stated that the complainant had since left the property, did not know where he was. The co-defendant contacted the reportee on Friday, telling her to pick up her husband's last paycheck, which was suspicious because they used direct deposit. The reportee advised that the co-defendant stated that her husband's truck was still at the scene and she could pick it up on Monday and that they would put the keys in the truck. The officers did find the keys to the complainant's motor vehicle in his motor vehicle. Officers conducted a custodial interview with defendant Banos where he admitted to beating the complainant with the stock end of a rifle in the head, face, and body multiple times, and striking him with his fists all over his body multiple times, kicked the complainant multiple times in the head, body, resulting in deep bruising on the defendant's right foot. The defendant admitted during the initial encounter after striking the complainant with the rifle, he had the co-defendant go get his pistol from the house, which she then handed to him. He struck the complainant with that pistol. The co-defendant had inadvertently handed the defendant an airsoft BB gun, which after he struck the complainant with, the gun broke and BBs fell out. The defendant admitted to biting the complainant's arm with a belt, detaining him at the office on his property, beating him about the head, face, and body repeatedly over an unknown extended period of time, starting on Thursday going into Friday. The defendant advised that the co-defendant was present during the ongoing assaults. The defendant stated that he later let the complainant go and told him to leave the property, but the complainant was unable to drive and asked to sleep on the property. Appearing incoherent, the defendant and the co-defendant had the complainant contact his wife and send her the message. The co-defendant, during her custodial interview, confirmed the events, stating that after finding the complainant still on the property, the defendant restrained him again with straps and a belt and fed him a Slim Fast through a straw. The defendant also admitted to later trying to feed the complainant with an energy drink, but it leaked out of his mouth and he appeared to be really stiff. Both the defendant and co-defendant stated that they left the property to run errands. Upon returning, found the complainant unresponsive, later determined that he was dead. Neither the defendant nor co-defendant attempted to render aid to the complainant or call 911. The defendant and the co-defendant then bound the complainant's body in plastic, left him inside of the office. They confirmed that this was Friday night. The co-defendant assisted in covering the body in plastic, additionally cleaned up blood evidence at the scene. The complainant's phone and wallet were found at the scene and appeared to have blood on them, along with the clothing, which matched the description that the reportee last saw the complainant in. Through the totality of the circumstances, based on the statements made by both the defendant and co-defendant, the complainant was beaten and pistol whipped multiple times in the head and body, was tied down, along with blood evidence at the scene consistent with the events. The blunt force trauma caused by the repeated attacks contributed to the complainant's death. The state filed a motion requesting no contact with any witnesses, reportee, and each other, no weapons, alcohol, drugs, GPS curfew, house arrest, to surrender passport or any travel documents. The state is against a pretrial release under the Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 17.03, current violent offense for the murder and aggravated kidnapping. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Candidate, do either of these individuals have any criminal history?
Let me check one thing, Your Honor.
And I can give you some time for that. And also, what is Could you clarify the reason for why you're asking for a higher bond on the murder for Mr. Banos as compared to Ms. Carrizales?
So for defendant Calazares, she does not have any criminal history. For defendant Banos, he has a probation discharged. And I apologize, give me 1 second here. He has a probation discharge for a DWI from 1998. He has an aggravated assault deadly weapon pled down to a Class A unlawful carrying of a weapon from 2006, and a DWI conviction from 2021. The reason for the increased amount for defendant Banos is that he admitted that he was the one who struck the complainant with the firearms, and the co-defendant supplied the firearms to the defendant.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Mr. Evans, may I have your bond recommendations?
Yes, Judge. For Ms. Salazar, we're requesting a...
Could you speak up a little louder?
Yes, Judge. For Ms. Salazar, we're requesting a $15,000 personal bond on the tampering with evidence case, a $20,000 bond on the aggravated kidnapping case, and a $20,000 bond on the murder case.
No position?
No position on the aggravated kidnapping or murder.
Okay.
She scores a no on the new violent criminal activity flag, a below average risk on the PSA assessment without criminal history. She's 42 years old. She's lived in the Houston area since 2004. She's lived at the same address for the past 12 years. She lives with her husband, who's the co-defendant, and their 2 children, an 11-year-old and 12-year-old, who they raised together. She works at NBC Electric. She's a secretary there. She's been there for quite a few years now. She's a high school graduate. She can get to and from court through her own vehicle. She also has other family in the area to be able to ensure that she gets to court. For Mr. Banos, we're requesting a $30,000 bond for the murder, a $30,000 bond for the aggravated kidnapping, and a $15,000 personal bond on the tampering with evidence case. Mr. Banos scores a no on the new violent criminal activity flag and a below average risk on the PSA assessment, with no criminal history other than misdemeanor convictions. He has no failure to appear history and no violent nor felony convictions. He has lived in Houston for over 30 years. Again, he lives with his wife, the co-defendant, as well as their 2 children, an 11-year-old and 12-year-old. They also have a 23-year-old son here in the Houston area. He runs his electricity company himself. He has a vehicle to be able to get to and from court. He is currently in an electrical engineering program with Texas A&M. And in addition to being able to get to and from court through his own vehicle, he does have other family in the area too.
Sorry, did you indicate how much money they can afford to pay for a bond?
No, I didn't. Their best estimation is they can afford about $1,000.
Each?
Yes, Judge.
All right, for Ms. Salazar Carrizales, this is the murder and the aggravated kidnapping are 1703 cases. I see no criminal history in her record. She is scoring a 1-1 below average risk on the public safety assessment. It appears that she may be indigent based on the financial affidavit. However, she does indicate that she has about $3,000 in a savings account. Based on the information provided in the probable cause and by the prosecutor, as well as the public defender, and considering the egregious nature of these offenses causing significant concern for community safety, bond in the murder case will be set at $200,000. bond in the aggravated kidnapping will be set at $150,000. And bond in the tampering case will also be set at $150,000. I will set bond conditions in the murder case, and I will go over those in a second. Don't publish that kidnapping yet. I still have to make a change on that one. For Mr. Banos, I do see some criminal history for him, including 3 misdemeanors from 97 to 2021, DWI from 97, an unlawfully carrying a weapon misdemeanor that was reduced from a felony aggravated assault of a deadly weapon in 2006 in Fort Bend County, and a DWI in 2021. Otherwise, no out-of-state convictions, no open holds. He is scoring a 2-2 on the public safety assessment. Based on his financial affidavit, it appears that he is not indigent. It indicates he has a large amount of value in real property, as well as a high monthly income. Based on the facts alleged in this case, the egregious nature of these offenses, and the role that Mr. Banos played in this case, the court is concerned for community safety. Bond in the murder case will be set at $300,000. Bond in the aggravated kidnapping, $150,000. And bond in the tampering with evidence, $150,000. And Ms. Salazar Carrizales, you will have the following bond conditions. You shall appear in court. You may not commit any crimes. You may not have any contact with any of the state's witnesses, as well as any of the deceased complainants, Francisco Antonio Serrano Romero's family or household members. That includes his wife. You may not You must surrender your passport to the treasurer or registry of the court. You must remain within Harris County or its contiguous counties. You may not use, possess, or consume any marijuana, controlled substance, dangerous drugs, and no alcohol. You may not use or possess any firearms. You will be required to obtain an electronic monitoring device before release from Harris County Jail. You will be placed under 24-hour house arrest, and you may not have contact with each other. Mr. Bano, you may not have contact with Francisca Salazar Carrizales. Ms. Salazar Carrizales, you may not have any contact with Narciso Cruz Banos. Do you understand these bond conditions?
Very last, we live in the same house.
You may not have contact with each other. If you have any questions about these bond conditions or how to comply with them, you may speak to your attorney, but those are your bond conditions. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're excused from court. Thank you.